here we have the newest release from Carenado, which is the Piper PA28181 Archer 2. Yes, that's a mouthful. But it is a fantastic aircraft. It's really, the PA28s have gone through a lot of different iterations, but this is really the only aircraft that's given the 172 a run for its money. This is slightly updated from the 180, mainly due to this wing design here, which is a tapered wing versus the 180, which had a straight wing and was referred to as a Hershey bar because it was just so square. Now, before we go any further, I would just like to say that I am going to be doing a series of all of Carenado's aircraft and doing sort of quick overviews, tutorial, and full flight with each one. So we're going to start off with this as it is the newest version. Now, Carenado is known for their fantastic textures, and this is of no exception. I mean, you can get in as close as you want, and everything is just so detailed and so crisp and clean. So fantastic to see that. Now, there are some static elements, which you can see I've turned on right now. So the sort of fuselage cover, the tow bar, chocks, things like your PO2 cover, some cones, tie downs, that type of stuff, external power. Now, if we go into the cockpit, we do have a iPad down here, which will control those static elements and other options. So we'll go ahead and turn off all of those static elements. Let's go ahead and show our pilot. Now, you can open up the passenger door and cargo door. You can also do that from inside the cockpit here by unlatching there, and then pushing it open. The cargo door is just back over behind that seat there, which can open as well. So let's go ahead and shut that. And one final latch. There we go. The next page on the iPad, you do have the option of putting in a GTN 750. I have the one from PMS 50, which you can turn on and you can see is in there. Personally, I like using the 430 for this error, which I believe the 181 was around 1976 when it came out. I like that they have left it with sort of the steam gauges, you know, the leather wrapped and the tweed and that type of stuff. It looks fantastic. You know, some wear on it and everything. I prefer that. The GTN 750 though will give you a lot of options, not necessarily more functionality, but it will give you a lot more options as far as like fuel planning and that type of stuff. And charts, obviously, if you have a Navigraph subscription, you can get all your charts on there. They also do it for the GTN 750XI, which is another company that makes a GTN 750. From next page, you do have the options for setting, you know, okay, I want to choose ready for takeoff, taxi, cold and dark. We are cold and dark. Then you have checklists, very basic for takeoff and landing. Now, before we go any further, I do want to show you, if you go to Carenado's webpage, you can come up to any of their products that are theirs. So the reason why I say theirs is they've done a lot of collaborations with Asobo and Microsoft. This is one that is just strictly Carenado. So you can see it here. And if you click on it, you can see that you can come down to docs, and then you can download the checklist, like full checklists and performance charts and all that type of stuff right from their website. So if you're wondering where to get that information, it's right on their webpage, which is nice. So we can go ahead and close this down. Let's just go through a quick fire up procedure. I tend to do these, I call them quick and dirty startups, which are really what I think most people want to really kind of learn how to do. Actually, some of my toggle switches on my panel are already turned on, so give me 2 seconds here while I take care of all of those switches, get us actually set up. There we go. All right, so mixture full forward. Then we're going to come on down to our battery and our alternator. We can turn on that fuel pump. We also want to turn on our anti-collision lights. And then from there, we're just going to crack the throttle just a little bit. Now, our fuel selector is down here. We just want to make sure it is on one of the tanks. We have a right and a left tank. And that will come in very important once we get up into the air. But from there, that's really all you need to get set before you turn over the magnetos and the ignition. So we just have our key here, and we're going to go ahead and just crank that over. And we're just looking for around 1,000 RPMs to let everything kind of warm up a little bit. They do have a little window over here that you can open up as well. I think the sound on this is done really well. It does have a wonderful noise to it, so I like that. Now, as far as popping on your avionics, we come over here and just hit the switch there, and our Garmin will start to power up. Now, this is the working title from the marketplace, which is free, so I do recommend downloading this. As of today, there was a update to Microsoft Flight Simulator with the default aircraft. They've updated the pretty much all of the avionics in the default aircraft, but I still recommend using this working title version here, which is again free. So we also have our panel lights. Well, these are our nav radio lights. You can barely see them working. It's basically the back lights for these guys, but down is on. The lights here are for your actual gauges or your panel lights. You can see they are very dim. We also have a dome light, which you can control here, and then a red light there. Now, same again, it doesn't look like it's doing much, and it is dim, but it is enough to get you through some night flying. Now, we're currently sitting at Key West Marathon. We're just going to go down to Key West itself. Now, we'll just throw in a quick flight plan here so we have a reference. So we are currently at KMTH, and we can go ahead and enter, and then we are going to KEYW and enter. So we've just got a basic flight plan, and now we can just zoom out to see. I like going over to this nav page on the 430 because it gives you more of your DME information. We're just going to be doing VFR. The biggest gripe that people are going to have about this aircraft is that there is no autopilot. I personally like that it doesn't have one in here. It is a very stable aircraft to fly, and we'll see that as we get into the air. So we're going to go ahead and taxi on down to, I believe it's runway 7. We've got live weather on with a little bit of a wind going on. Let's have a look at our data here. Yeah, 120 at 4 knots, so not horrible, but definitely a little bit of a crosswind going on. So we'll go ahead and pop off our parking brake, which is down here, and then we're going to taxi on out, take off. We'll do a left traffic out, and then head on over to Key West. I have not set my barometric pressure yet. I'm not checking the ATIS or anything, but typically you would check that to get your pressure settings. I just use the shortcut key on there. Last thing we want to do is just get our transponder to standby. All right, we'll go ahead and taxi on down, and we'll rejoin once we are on the runway. All right, so here we are holding short runway 7. A couple of things that we just want to get prepared for takeoff is that we want to turn on our landing lights. You only have the 2 landing lights, anti-collision and landing. Anti-collision is basically your beacon, and nav landing lights are obviously landing lights. We still have our fuel pump on. We can go ahead and turn our transponder over to alt mode. You do not have to do, a stage 1 of flaps on here. You can take off with no flaps just fine, but you do want to set your trim. So we're gonna bring that down into the center a little bit more. Rotation will be roughly around 60 knots, so we'll go ahead and just accelerate nice and slowly and get a feel for that rudder as we are coming down the runway instead of just pegging it. I apologize for the texture changes here with DirectX 12. This happens sometimes. I'm hoping that's going to be fixed soon. All right, there's 60. We can go ahead and rotate. Now this aircraft is just so nice and easy to fly. We're looking for around 90 for our climb out. All right, and we'll go ahead and make our turn. And like I said, we're just going to be doing a VFR flight because it is a nice clear day here in the Keys. We're definitely going to be hitting, I think, a little bit of wind as that 4 knots on the ground, and then with these little islands. The water seems nice and calm though, which is good. We're only going to go up to 1,500 feet just to have a nice low-level flight over to the Keys because we are definitely not going very far. Now, as far as cruise settings go for this, there's a couple of ways that you can do that. One is going to the charts that I showed you how you can download those from Carenado's website, but they've also put in everything you need to know really here as far as power settings go, which is great. It's a nice quick reference. It doesn't give you what speeds or fuel burn. Actually, does it give you fuel burn up there? Yeah, so it'll give you estimated for economy and performance. Actually, let's go up to 2,000 because I was not paying attention. So we're coming up to 2,000 feet here. And we can go ahead and bring our RPMs back. I'm going to do just below 2,500. Get that nose down a little bit here. Now this should give us over roughly around 75% power, which is high, and we'll get a nice, probably around 120 knots out of this once we get leveled off. We can go ahead and pop off our fuel pump now. And then we also want to switch tanks. Now you have your right and left fuel tanks here. You can see that Takeoff really burned up through a lot of fuel. So we're going to end up, you can see we have a right turning lean going on, a right turning tendency because our right tank is heavier. So we just want to go ahead and swap that over. And you want to try and keep those as balanced as possible. So remember to keep an eye on those and swap them around. Still climbing up a little bit here as our speed increases. And you can click through on, the Garmin to have different views to see, where we're going, how we're doing, that type of stuff. Like I said, we're just going to be really following here, which is kind of a direct route. We'll end up being a little bit off to the south of our direct route, but this is a nice reference here. And that's really all you need to do to set your cruise is just get your RPMs where you want them. You need to bring them back just a little bit. I want roughly under 2,500 RPMs. Now, as far as your mixture goes, we do have an EGT, which is nice, which is your exhaust gas temperature. Now, even at 1,500 feet, we can still lean this out. You'll see it should peak just ever so slightly there, and it drops back in. So if you want to have better performance, you're going to come in about 50 to 100 degrees. Each one of those marks is 25. But if you want a little bit more performance, you're going to hit that peak, which is about there, and make it a little rich, which is then going to be rich of peak, and we'll get a little bit more performance out of the aircraft. You can see we're bobbling around here a little bit, but we're coming up to, we're at, 115, 116 right now. And we'll just carry on this way. Once we get closer to Key West, we will do a left traffic pattern and come in to land on runway 9. Okay, like I said, something to keep in mind is that we need to swap our fuel tanks around. So we're going to go back over to our left tank now, because you can see that is the fuller tank. We do have Key West in sight here. We're just going to come in and do a little left traffic pattern and hopefully get a nice greaser landing in this aircraft. It does very well. You can see we are getting a little bit of turbulence at this low level as we're flying over the water and then land. Those sort of temperature changes, I think, are exaggerated in Flight Simulator at low level, but it is still something that happens. I mean, we're only at 2,000 feet. So we can go ahead and check the metadata for Key West and see if those winds are the same. Let's see, 110 at 10, so a little windier, but we're landing on runway 9. So we'll have just ever so slightly a wind coming off to the side a little bit. We'll go ahead and fly this downwind here. I'm going to start to slow us down though, so we can go ahead and bring that throttle back. I'm also going to bring mixture full forward and just kind of hold us steady. We're looking for under 100 knots to introduce our first notch of flaps. So there we go, right. Actually, I'm descending a little too quickly. There. All right, we can bring that power back in now. Now for our approach speed, we're 75-ish for that sort of like final approach, and then touchdown we're looking for roughly 65 to 70. I think feels nice in this. Now there's 3 notches of flaps. You have a 10 degree, which we already currently have on, and then we have 20 degree, and then straight to 40 degrees. And you can see I'm getting pushed around by that wind. 10 knots on the ground is probably a little bit higher up here, even though we're not super high. I'm gonna start to bring us down a little bit quicker here, but gotta avoid going over that 100 knots. Bring that power back. There we go. Trim this out a little bit. Yeah, that wind is definitely buffeting us around. Hopefully once we get closer to the ground, it'll even out a little bit. You can see it just keeps on pushing me up and then pushing me down. Like life in general, right? Getting pushed up, pushed down. Doing a nice wide approach here. Typically in something this small you do a much closer traffic pattern, but I just want to get us set up nicely. We got some cruise ships off to our side here, something that's never appealed to me. Let's go ahead and do second notch of flaps, 20 degrees. Coming up to 1,000 feet. Go ahead and cut on over here. This is one of my more favorite airports in this area. I don't fly out here often, but this airport is fun. I think it's got a real nice look to it. It's got that sort of like classic old styling to it with some of the signage and the way the terminal is. I forget who makes it, but it's done very well. You can see it. We just got pushed up from that wind coming over this chunk of land here. A little high. And bring that power back. We can go ahead and do final notch flaps here as well. You can probably wait until you're a little bit closer to do that, but we're just going to pop it in there and try and get coordinated. Now remember, I'm going to be doing a full series on Carenado's aircraft. Be testing and doing flights like this on all of them, so you can decide which ones are ones that will appeal to you. Most of their aircraft is between usually around 18 bucks to 25 bucks, so definitely good value. Overall, I think this is worth the purchase as long as you are okay with not having an autopilot. If autopilot is something that is a must, then skip this one. But it is a really enjoyable aircraft to fly, so I do recommend it. It just flies super nice, low wing, so you have good views. So please make sure to subscribe to see the future Carenado videos. We are getting pushed around here. All right, there's 70. I'll hold it right around here for a minute. Get a little bit lower. There's the tiny bit of ground effect. Come to idle. And that is what you call a greaser. That was a wonderful little landing. I was definitely off the center line, but as far as touchdown, man, that was a good one. All right, well, shutdown for this. I won't really go through all of that. It is very simple of just really, taking your mixture, leaning it all the way out, just shutting down your avionics and power, and then really popping on those static elements again. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll do a quick replay of the landing so we can see how well that looked. But thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really does help this channel out, and I would appreciate it so we can continue to grow and to get some better content going for everyone. Go ahead and pop off here. There we go. All right. Till next time, thank you. Take care.